training to failure actually lead to better muscle growth? I'm going to answer an even better question. What about going beyond failure? I tested going to what I call ultra failure for 3 weeks to see if going to failure and beyond is really worth the hype. Is training to failure really the best way to train? And you get better muscle growth from going beyond failure. Is it the most efficient way to train? The answer may just surprise you. Let's find out. So I did a push, pull, legs, upper, and lower split, and taking training to ultra failure, each workout for 5 days in a row. I like to have the weekends off to spend time with my wife and to decompress from the week. For all the exercises in each workout, I went to failure and beyond, which would mean either using cheat reps, lengthened partials, eccentrics, or mechanical drop sets on every single set. Holy crap! I'll say this up front, it was a lot. But was it really worth it? Did I need to go to ultra failure on every single set? I don't know of any study that has tested this, so I thought I would be my own guinea pig for a little bit. This is my physique the first morning of my experiment. I'm sitting at roughly 20-ish% body fat, and I've been training consistently for about a couple years now. I have a pretty good idea of what weights I would use in every workout, so all I had to do was figure out what ultra failure meant on every exercise and go through it for 3 weeks. Granted, 3 weeks isn't a long time to see that much progress, but it was after a bulk, and 3 weeks was my timeline before Christmas, so the perfect time to add more bulk to the frame. This is what my workouts look like, and as you can see, I tracked progress day by day and week by week. The third week, I had to condense it down to an upper, lower, since we had to leave to the airport that Friday morning or the Friday afternoon, so I adjusted the training that week. Now keep in mind, I didn't film every single set I did throughout the 3 weeks, but I did film most of the exercises to give you an idea of what the intensity looked like. My first exercise was incline dumbbell bench drop set into incline push-ups and then lengthened partials. This is brutal in the chest and triceps, but I actually found it didn't affect my later sets and reps as much as I thought it would, as seen in my training logs. However, it definitely affected how much weight I can use in the dumbbell shoulder press to push press to partials. I can normally do 50s and 60s for the same amount of weight, but even to ultra failure, I had to steadily increase my reps throughout the 3 weeks. Now this is a chest fly variation I've been playing around with in the kneeling position. These weren't as fatiguing as the shoulder presses and were pretty fun to take all the way to failure and then some, especially being able to isolate each pec on its own. I had to adjust the weight for the lateral cable flies, but was still able to increase my reps from week 2 to week 3. These were also a blast to do. I also love doing this tricep drop set, as I found it super easy to implement and fun to do, especially in the last set of regular training. You go to failure, then use some momentum to get some cheat reps in and really control the eccentric. And if you burn out on these, you'll knock out a couple partial reps and call it a set. I also had to adjust the weights from weeks 1 to week 2, and made some progress from weeks 2 to week 3. This was my post-workout pump after the first day of ultra failure training. This is my recap of the first day. Alright, so I just got done with day 1 of ultra failure training. Just wanted to sound ultra or intense. But yeah, it was good. I was fatigued after every set, of course, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I thought I was gonna have to just gonna be exhausted halfway through or even near the end. And yet, I think near the end, like with the hanging leg raises, I definitely was exhausted. I don't think I filmed those. They're hanging leg raises. They're not anything super crazy. So yeah, I got exhausted halfway through to where I just didn't really feel like doing the knee raises. But honestly, the training wasn't so bad. Adding cheat reps and partials to every set actually felt kind of good. I felt like I was really working the muscle, especially on lateral raises. I really felt like I was feeling the muscle. Sure, you feel a little bit on the concentric and eccentric once you get those cheats in there. So you really start to have to activate to slow it down. I surprisingly didn't feel my upper trap that much. I might have a good mind-muscle connection, who knows. But yeah, I really felt it a lot there on the cheat eccentrics, and then the partials for sure. Partials, I don't know if it shows in the video, but I tried to loosen up my grip a little bit, just so I can get more of my lateral delt instead of my forearm extensors. I think it worked. It seemed to work. It felt like it worked. So, but yeah, I actually feel, and after all the sets and workout and whatnot, I actually feel really good. Like I said, not too much fatigue. Then again, this is workout 1 of 15, so we'll see how I feel at the end of the week. All right, stay tuned. Day 2 is a pull day with the same concepts, go as hard as I can and even beyond. On pull days, it was easier to implement cheat reps But as you can see, I actually got fewer reps on week 3 than I did on week 2, quite possibly from the fatigue. More on that later in the video. And just like with the shoulder presses, I had to lighten the load than what I would normally do for incline dumbbell rows, but also steadily more reps throughout the weeks. It's easy to throw in some scap squeezes at the end of each set, but I really didn't notice too much of a difference with these, but then again it was only for 3 weeks. The cable lat pairs were a lot of fun to throw in cheats and partials with, but also with more reps throughout the week. Next up are the single arm cable reverse flies in the lengthened position, doing cheat reps and partials to end the set, and performing more reps each week to really make those rear delts pop. Now the easy bar curls also saw a steady increase in reps, but on the 3rd week I was so fatigued I only performed a little over half my reps on week 3. Hammer curls were a nice little finisher to torch the biceps more, as if they didn't get enough from the easy bar curls already. And just like with the easy bar curls, I was so fatigued by week 3 that I didn't even bother to do them. This is my post-workout pump that followed afterwards on the first day. Okay, so day 3 is my first leg day, starting off with a very underrated exercise, Smith machine split squats, with my front foot elevated. What this does is it increases some range of motion so I can get deeper into the split squat. The Smith machine helped with stability, so you can bust out some partial reps fairly easily without having to worry about falling over. I definitely had to rest at least a minute or 2 between legs, so this exercise took a while to finish for all my sets. I noticed the Smith machine split squats fatigued my legs out, so I had to really dial down on the heels elevated goblet squat weight than what I would normally do when I was able to do more in the later weeks. And these were absolute quad extinguishers, and I definitely had to rest a good amount of time between sets of these. Next up were the seated hamstring curls, which was a nice change of pace since I was sitting compared to standing, and focusing on the hamstrings since the quads were toasted. And I saw the way for these skyrocket back to what they would normally be, which showed me I wasn't as fatigued for these compared to other exercises throughout the week. Now, I like to use the green strap to really anchor myself down, so I didn't go into as much hip extension and therefore focusing more on the hamstrings instead of having the glutes take over. I tried to do seated leg press calf raises, but these didn't work out since my quads were so fatigued, they were shaking, and I had to do single leg standing calf raises instead. These weren't too bad as well, and I ended up supersetting them with the hamstring curls to speed up the workout. On the last day of doing these, I ended up skipping the partial reps due to fatigue in week 3. Okay, back to the upper body with day 4. I had to superset a lot of the exercises to squeeze in both push and pull on the same day, but surprisingly went fairly well. I didn't see too much progress in the weighted chin-ups throughout the weeks, and the push-up drop sets were kind of awkward for me, mainly because I really don't like push-ups as a whole, and ended up switching the decline push-ups to weighted push-ups. Rest was definitely needed, even between exercises. This was the case too with my next superset, machine preacher curls and full range of motion dumbbell lateral raises. Both these exercises were really fun to do, and it gave me a nice pump. I implemented a superset before another chest and back exercise to give the chest and back a break from the chin-ups and push-ups and flow nicely into a full upper body day. The third superset was a pec deck with reverse flies, and not too fatiguing as both exercises were machine-based and also resulted in more weight and reps done throughout the experiment. Finished off the workout with cable overhead tricep extensions to work the long head, and again saw an increase in weight and reps. I will say that upper body pumps were pretty stinking awesome. Now for the final day of the week, I topped it off with another leg day. I did adjusted leg presses from double leg to single leg, I was doing partial reps with double legs. Doing partial reps with double leg had me seeing flashbacks of my life and worrying about the worst case scenario, if all hope failed in the supports. And single leg partials felt better anyways, and these progressed nicely throughout the weeks. Reverse hypers were an awesome exercise to minimize the stability demands for a hip hinge exercise, and saw good progress with these as well. I followed these up with leg extensions supersetted with resistance band assisted reverse Nordic curls to hit the rectus femoris. Holy smokes, this is a quad nightmare, but in the best way possible. Reps increase here as well. Last but not least are the prone hamstring curls. I also went from doing these double leg to single leg in weeks 2 and 3 with good results. And these were my final results the morning after the 3 weeks of ultra failure training. Now keep in mind I was on a bulk and the cycle only ran for 3 weeks, so not much would change. And here's a little recap I had on week 3, day 3, before the workout. Okay, here we are. So it is week 3, day 3. Today is upper body day. Wow, I'm actually feeling the fatigue, not gonna lie. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to just like go go all for it, you know, just like ultra failure. It's really fun, really cool. And I'm just like really feeling it. And I don't know if it's because of the stress from like the holidays and like preparing for that and, you know, everything else, you know, that goes along with it. But yeah, I'm just feeling fairly fatigued. But I'm just gonna remind myself, you know, just gonna power through this day and tomorrow, and then I'm good for this little mini experiment. Yeah, I'll definitely do a video of things that I have learned since doing this. I've learned a lot, good and bad things. Yeah, well, let's get it. And I think too, I'm not looking forward to like the whole push-ups. I mean, I honestly hate push-ups because I'm not really that good at push-ups. So I think you know, switch even adding weight to like push-ups. I don't know. I just don't really like them that much. So yeah, so not looking forward to that. The whole chin up push-up superset. But I don't know. We'll get to it and we'll see how it goes today. Now to answer the questions you've all been waiting for. Was it worth it? What did I learn? And should you train ultra failure? Honestly, I wouldn't necessarily say it was worth it. I trained for 3 weeks like this in every exercise for 5 days a week, and although the first week wasn't too bad, I got more fatigued in weeks 2 and 3. Even though I got more weight and reps in weeks 2 and 3, most of it was returning to the baseline or close to it, what I was used to before without training to failure. A typical training cycle goes anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks max, more often 6 weeks, and I did 3 weeks in a bulk and hated training by the beginning of the 3rd week. Now, did it work for some exercises? Sure. Can you implement ultra failure training into your training? And I don't see why not, but I wouldn't recommend doing it on your first exercise or even your very first set or two of an exercise. This is definitely not for the faint of heart and should be sprinkled in your training, not the backbone of your training. Ultra failure training worked nicely for my legs and stable exercises like Smith machine split squats compared to barbell squats, and machine-based exercises for the upper body. But keep in mind too, this is just my experience with training to failure and beyond, and you might have different results than me. If you use ultra failure training, don't do it on every exercise for every single set. Well guys, thanks for watching my video on ultra failure training. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.